Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to use research to understand who is a man who is perceived as magnetic. So, if you are a man who is perceived as magnetic, based on a couple variables, including interpersonal relationships, career wise, in other social settings, things of that sort, to which you can kind of recognize why are these people maybe talking to me or connecting to me, and so what you can make a decision off of that. But also, if you feel like you want to magnetize more attention or perceptions about you, you can look at these types of traits and possibly introduce those things within yourself, prompting sort of things. And so we're going to use research. The research is in the description box, as it typically is, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in. The first one is, I guess I would say, clinically, we would say like the affect, so a positive affect. But another way you could put it that's a little bit less clinical is like presence, positive presence. And we'll just say like affective presence. I don't know. Is like it's a tendency we're seeing to actually, it's more like where this particular person consistently makes other people feel good, basically, or you kind of elicit certain emotions in others. So that's kind of like that affect. So you're positive and you create that sense of positivity in others. So it might make other people feel good. It might make other people feel appreciated, whatever it is. And this study was done in 2015. It was particularly speed dating, okay? So my understanding of speed dating is you don't know each other and you're just like dating multiple people in like a day or something like that. I'm not totally familiar with that paradigm or particular details, but the research was speed dating. And basically, people with greater perceived positive affect, so people who kind of radiate, I don't know, positivity and make other people more comfortable, actually got more second date interest on the speed dating. So that particular person, all of their people or whatever, had a higher likelihood of wanting to see them outside of this particular setting. And what we can kind of see is that positive affect, how this person or these individuals kind of embody that perspective, is they actually have good emotional regulation and emotional expressiveness, which is really hard for a lot of people who are detached, right? Including myself. I don't have that, but I'm just sharing. I don't think it's a bad or good thing, but positive emotional expression or emotional expression in general can really create that perspective, okay? The next one is integrity. Basically, what we're seeing is it's kind of like a correlation between honesty and humility. There was a model that basically predicted this in pro-social behavior. This research was recent. It's 2023. And I know I don't always use current research, but this one I actually liked. Basically, integrity is perceived as a person who lives by their values, even when it's inconvenient. So this can be some sort of like perceived leadership to some extent. Maybe this man who we're saying has a lot of integrity, he does what he says he'll do. He'll do it even if it's not the easiest route. And this creates a sense of not just resilience and attraction, it also shows a sense of trustworthiness and leadership, lower deception as well. And in this research done in 2023, it was shown that these traits are very valued in long-term relationships and leadership positions. And so you're likely to magnetize others around you by perceiving, okay, he's a good, potential partner, a good potential husband, a good potential vice president, whatever it is that they're looking for, they will see that in you. And it's easier for you, based on this research, to find a long-term partner, to get a job that you're looking for. And so I think that's really important. There was actually another research done. Well, this one was not necessarily based on relationships, but the research done in 2020 showed that this kind of model of honesty and humility actually did create a lot of like individuals who kind of fit this particular perspective, has a lot of connections with so many other people, a lot of different personality types. A lot of people like them, I guess is the best way to put it. And then a research done in 2011 actually showed that people who are more honest and humble actually have higher job performance and tend to be, what would you say, like not nominated, but perceived as so by other people. They're not looked over, okay? The next trait or perspective, if you are a high value man, you probably have some sort of purpose, okay? This research is recent, 2025, and basically it shows that having purpose integrated within other perspectives of your life, your job, interpersonal relationships, whatever it may be, actually attracts a lot of people who share similar life goals, but also attracts other people to want to learn from your general purpose. So you might attract someone who doesn't necessarily have those life goals, but they want to have them, if that makes sense. Basically, they want to learn from you and they become attracted to who you are, and you're perceived as much more attractive and compatible with so many different folks because of this particular trait, having any sort of purpose. And likely, I would imagine, this part wasn't in the research, but I'm kind of just stretching it and you guys can look at it. I would imagine that part of it is also perceiving yourself through that lens, as in communicating about your purpose or showing up in those spaces. So I imagine, let's say your purpose is that you want to have a very successful business. You communicate with other businessmen. You're in spaces where there's a lot of people who have those similar goals, or you talk about those things in potential relationships or people you're meeting, not in a way where you're bragging, but I imagine in a way where it's like, this is who you are and you're comfortable being yourself. That's how I perceived it. I don't know. What do you guys think? The next one is, I think a lot of people know this, but being self-assured, confident, self-perceived attractiveness is kind of the way this research put it. This one is 2013, but another one was in 2021, which was more about like popularity. And I'll talk about both because I think they take the trait in two different angles. And I thought that was interesting. Sometimes comparing two different research that shows similar findings, but of different angles is really interesting. It helps us to see a more comprehensive perspective. And so we'll talk about both of them. But first, let's talk about the actual attribute. When you perceive yourself as attractive, not just like objective beauty, I guess, but more like your perspective that you feel like I'm perceived confident because I believe in myself, basically more self-esteem, that's actually more romantically desirable for particular partners, right? Confident people in general tend to be more socially assertive as well, which can be viewed more attractive, particularly for a female counterpart, okay? Now, let's talk about the research really quickly. The one in 2013, basically, we just saw basically what we were saying. In social settings and more like a mating setting, self-perceived attractiveness and confidence can really help individuals to perceive you as desirable, willing to connect with, have children with, whatever it is from a biological perspective, evolutionary psychology as well, mating, but also social psychology to connect with, have a romantic relationship with. The research done in 2021 was a little bit interesting. It basically showed that individuals with a more confident personality or perception was actually more popular among many different types of people. So leadership, okay? Very similar, which is anyone who shows charisma or someone who's very charismatic, but particularly these types of traits that I'm going to go into. We're talking about particularly nonverbal social behaviors that can be perceived as charismatic. And you guys might do this without realizing it, because I know some of you guys mentioned you guys get a lot of unwanted attention. This could be why, because this is subconscious, okay? A lot of times you might smile to anybody you're greeting. Where I'm from, in the state I'm in, it's very common to hold the door open for other folks, regardless of gender, right? Especially for elderly, you hold the door open, even if there's like plenty of people going through. If you're that person that's holding the door, people are, smiling towards you. They appreciate you. They talk to you more because you're perceived as somebody who, in my state, is somebody who's like sociable and charismatic, right? And very kind and giving. It's common in my state to be that way, like friendly. Okay, so smiling, eye contact, nodding, sometimes mimicry. So if your, potential date, she's feeling a little bit bubbly or happy, you start mimicking that and getting very excited for her for whatever she's sharing, okay? these are strongly associated with interpersonal attraction. These behaviors build rapport and also perceived signals of warmth and confidence, which is very attractive to especially a female counterpart. I hope this video was helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.